For more now, we're joined by CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd. She was a former Homeland Security official during the Biden administration, so a very good person to have with us this morning in studio. Thank you so much for being here. Want to start with those additional Marines that are heading to the region. What does this signal to you?
Well, while the president is saying that we may be winding down the war, the actual capabilities that he's deploying to the region, Kelly, tell a different story. The additional individuals and assets that he's sending are really trained to do amphibious assaults, crisis response, and more. So that's begging the question of whether the president is thinking about putting ground troops in Iran to secure nuclear materials or to try to secure an important oil loading facility at Karg Island as the strait still remain closed. These capabilities will all likely be in place in the coming weeks, and that is why there are all these questions about whether the president is considering boots on the ground.
Let's talk about Iran's nuclear material, because they still have nuclear material in their possession. The president, according to CBS News reporting, hasn't made a decision whether there will be an operation to try to recover this material. What would an operation like that even look like? And will it require troops going in?
Well, nuclear disarmament is complicated and time-intensive under the best of circumstances with a cooperative government during peacetime. And the U.S. has a long history of doing just that after the fall of the Soviet Union, with the International Atomic Energy Agency in Libya and elsewhere. The U.S. government, via its Special Operations Forces, does train troops to secure nuclear material. But even if the U.S. intelligence community has figured out where the roughly 900 or so pounds of highly enriched uranium is, and even if the United States could get troops to that particular site or sites, those troops would have to actually secure the facility. That would require detailed knowledge of the facility itself. They would have to secure the materials to ensure there's no leakage. From there, they would have to transport them to potentially a third country, repackage them, and then ultimately perhaps bring them to the United States. That kind of work would really benefit from having not a kinetic conflict, but a calm environment to do detailed operational planning, detailed packaging and repackaging, and to ensure that there's no spillover effects, no pun intended, of any nuclear material.
Yeah, when you lay it out like that, it sounds incredibly complicated. A lot of different areas where things could potentially go wrong if it is not a calm environment. I do want to ask you, I mean, folks at home are obviously wondering, how could this impact us here? You hear Iran threatening, parks, recreational facilities where tourists are going. How serious of a threat could this be to Americans, at home or abroad?
This is certainly not the threat environment that we want to be hearing about as spring break is unfolding. Sure. The Iranian regime, over the course of its history, has funded, directed, and trained proxies all around the world that have hit back at Americans. That has included bombings, kidnapping, hijacking planes, and more. Certainly, though, the U.S. government and security apparatuses all around the world are on high alert right now, looking out for these threats. But the State Department has issued a worldwide caution alert, encouraging Americans that are traveling to stay in touch with consulates and embassies and to reconsider travel in light of the heightened threat environment. So the U.S. government is on it. They're working hard with their partners, but it is certainly a heightened threat environment for Americans traveling overseas.
And we're almost out of time, but with gas prices where they are, the U.S. is temporarily lifting sanctions on Iranian oil. Will that help gas prices? And why would we be doing something like this while we're at war with Iran?
The U.S. government is certainly trying to ease pressure on oil, gas, and likely fertilizer in the weeks ahead. Lifting sanctions on Iranian oil at sea, not any Iranian oil, but Iranian oil already at sea, is not likely to have a sustained impact on oil prices. And unfortunately, I do think as these strikes continue, not just in Iran, but at energy facilities around the region, we could see prices increase further.
All right, Sam Vinograd, thank you so much for being here and giving us your analysis. We appreciate it.